What's up, horror fam?
You know what time it is.
And tonight we're talking James Wan. Let's get into this.
All right.
That's right, guys. You heard that. We're talking James Wan. This is part 2 or episode 2 of our director series. We are going to be talking about James Wan tonight. However, we're going to do a little bit of business before we do that. And so if you're just listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, wherever you may be finding it, and you're not following us on Facebook, guys, jump on over to the Facebook page, say what's up, start a conversation, like it, tell your friends about it, share it, let everybody know what's going on. Come start a conversation with us, guys. We're highly active on there. It's a good way to get a hold of us. As also, it's we do a live show the last Saturday of the month, guys, and you guys can talk to us live on there, so it's a real good time.
Yeah, and that's coming up in just a few short weeks.
Yes. So it's going to be a great time, guys. So if you're just listening to this and you're not on our Facebook page, come check us out.
Hell yeah.
Where else can they find us?
You can find us every Friday night on craniumradio.com.
Craniumradio.com.
Check out the Horror Chronicles podcast every Friday night at 9 Central, 10 Eastern.
That's right, guys. And you can listen to them for anything.
Yeah, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They got some of the best music, the best DJs.
Yeah, awesome.
Killer station.
Awesome, guys. Also, join our YouTube page, guys. If you haven't, you need to go over there and subscribe to our YouTube page. Click that notification bell. That way you know whenever we're putting stuff up.
Yeah.
We are getting ready to. We announced on our last episode. I don't know if you've heard it yet, but we have.
We know people have listened to it.
Yeah, we just checked, and we know quite a bit of people listen to it. We introduced some new members that we have on the horror family over here at the Horror Chronicles, guys.
And members they are.
Members, units. They are units. But... we love you, Bradley and Kale. But anyways, guys.
And Jim.
Yes. And they're going to be putting up some cool-ass shit on our YouTube page.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to start doing investigations and all kinds of cool shit. So
it's going to be killer.
Go over there and check it out. And if you want to peep some of this badass merch, where can they get that at, JT?
You can get that over at tpublic.com. That's TEEPUBLIC.com.
That's right, guys. Check it out.
Just type in Horror Chronicles Podcast, or you don't even have to type in podcast. Just type in Horror Chronicles, and our merch will pop right up. We've got our own storefront. If you go to our Facebook page, there's a little button right on top of the page. It says Shop Now. You click that, it'll take you right to our storefront over there on tpublic.com.
Hell yeah, guys. Peep that merch just to represent your horror fan, man.
Pretty cool. And I got to give a little shout out to my buddies over at Beyond FM. Beyond FM is a radio station out of St. Louis, Missouri. They specialize in promoting local music. Just show them some love. Go over and check them out. It's beyondfm.net. They are starting a new series. Starts tomorrow night. It's the Sunday Nights in the Pit. It's all local St. Louis metal. And yours truly, my band LUNATIC, is going to be the first song on the bill.
Woo!
So you got to check that shit out.
Holla. Hell yeah, guys. Go check that out. And that's the business. So we're going to jump into this juicy-ass podcast about one of probably most of our listeners' favorite directors.
Yeah, he's one of the greats. I mean, and it's so funny for us to give him that term or to coin that phrase with him because he's so young. He really has only been doing this about 20 years.
Yeah.
And he's probably one of our favorite directors, producers, writers, whatever. This guy is, he wears many hats. He's a jack of all trades. He does it all.
And his name is James Wan. James Wan, guys. And, speaking of his age, he was born, this is kind of cool, he was born February 26th, 1977. My birthday is February 27th.
Oh.
Yeah. So I thought that's pretty cool. I'm like, sweet.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, man. What's crazy about this is, did you look up where he's from?
Yeah. Well, he's actually Malaysian born, but he lives in Australia.
Well, he's Malaysian.
Right.
If you look at him, you can tell he was Malaysian.
He's
However,
of Malaysian Chinese descent.
He's born in Australia,
right,
and has lived there his whole life. So I watched a shit ton of interviews with him, and when he talks, you can just hear the Australian accent.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Hardcore coming out. I'm like, holy shit, man. It's kind of crazy.
And like we said, this guy, he's a film director, screenwriter, producer. He's even a comic book writer. He put out a series of graphic comics that have done very well, and he's had some movies.
Which makes me excited about
off of those.
The fact that he, if it ever happens, is working on a Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
That kind of makes me excited. So
talk about that stuff at the end.
Oh, I know. And it's it's just I love James Wan. He's by far has come to be one of my favorite fucking directors and writers.
Yeah, I mean, his movies are so chocked full of atmosphere. It's pathetic.
And we're going to talk. We're going to talk about that.
He has put out some of the creepiest shit in recent history.
Just to name some of the stuff he was involved in. Of course, he directed the first Saw,
right, which came out in 2004.
Mm-hmm. And then he, produced. He had a part in the other ones.
Right.
Now there's a movie called Demonic that he wrote.
Yep.
And then, Insidiouses and Annabelles and the whole entire Conjuring universe, which he created.
Yeah. I got to tell you what really turned me on to James Wan was in 2007, he released a movie called Dead Silence.
Yes.
That movie did not do very well at the box office, but I absolutely love that movie.
Yeah, and we're not going to delve.
I watched it again this morning.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it.
It's a great movie.
Actually, just watched that movie a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Just so fucking creepy.
Which is kind of the reason why I come up with the idea to do this episode tonight.
Right.
Because I just watched it. I'm like, man, we should do that. But we're not going to delve into the movies themselves per se. We're going to talk about a lot of the movies because we're going to talk about the way he directed them and all kinds of other things like that. But we're not going to get into the movies themselves because we're going to do episodes on those movies.
Yeah. Let me run down a little list if you guys don't know the kind of stuff that James Wan has put out. We already talked about Saw from 2004. He did Dead Silence in 2007. He did 2 movies that year. He did another movie called Death Sentence, which I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's got Kevin Bacon in it, and he's an ex-Marine that ends up losing his mind, and it's a vigilante movie. James Wan kind of based that off of the Death Wish series. Pretty cool. Then we talked about the Insidious movies. He directed the original Insidious, which came out in 2010, and then he produced on a bunch of the other ones, which there are 4 now. The Conjuring, one of the best. That movie's got a little bit of everything in it.
I just watched it.
It's probably one of the best ghost stories, demonic possession, witchcraft. I mean, it's got everything in it. That movie came out in 2013. Huge success for him. Huge. And it was huge. Insidious Chapter 2. He directed that in 2013. He also directed a movie that some of you non-horror fans probably love, and that's the Fast and Furious series. He did Furious 7, which came out in 2013 also with The Conjuring. Or, I'm sorry, it came out in 2015. I'm sorry. And then in 2016, he released The Conjuring 2. And then the one that kind of blew my mind whenever I saw it, whenever I sat down to watch that movie, because I watch a lot of the credits because I want to know who's involved in them. Directed by James Wan, fucking Aquaman from 2018.
And you could tell.
No wonder that movie was so fucking good.
You could tell by the way, what we're going to do is, guys, we're going to get into the way he directs things and the way he writes things.
I know that we're a horror podcast, and I just brought up 2 movies that are totally non-horror related, and that's Furious 7 and Aquaman. I brought those up for a reason, and here's why I brought them up. Aquaman and Furious 7 both grossed over $1 billion at the box office, making James Wan the 8th director in history with 2 films that have reached that milestone.
That's awesome.
There are not many people have done that. In fact, he is the first Asian director to ever do that.
That's sweet. That's fucking sweet, man.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking $1 billion.
$1 billion.
$1 billion.
$1
That's
billion.
a lot of freaking zeros.
Fuck yeah, dude.
You know?
Well, and he also had a part with Lights Out.
Well, he was a producer in Lights Out.
So, and, you know, like you got on here, La Lorena, The Nun, the whole Annabelle series.
Yeah, he produced a lot of movies. A lot of these movies he did with a really good friend of mine, a really good friend of his. Sorry,
call
I
this
wish this guy was a friend.
I say, call this fucker up. Let's get him on a damn podcast.
And I'm going to screw this guy's name up, but it's Lee Wanell.
Wanell.
He has been in several of these movies. James Wan actually met this guy in film school, and they became real good friends, and they worked on a short story for the Saw movie and released it to some of the Hollywood movie studios, and somebody bid on it, and they actually created a full-length movie.
Yeah,
so
I mean, James Wan is just, I'm so glad that he fucking came into the Hollywood, the horror Hollywood picture, you know, because like horror really needed somebody to come be a savior, and James Wan definitely fucking pulled that card and played that, you know. I watched go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, because Hollywood stepped on so many toes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Look at guys like John Carpenter, who got great director.
Which is
John Landis,
episode
Sam
1.
Raimi, all these great directors that Hollywood kind of snubbed their nose up to them, you know. And then James Wan comes in and says, hey, motherfuckers, I'm going to make $1 billion.
Yeah, man.
And he fucking did it.
And, you know, James Wan, it's funny because most of the movies that inspired him were psychological horror movies. Movies that really necessarily didn't have gore. They were more fucking, you know, they made you feel and think. Yeah. Poltergeist was a huge inspiration to him. Huge Jaws as well. Movies like that really made you.
I can see Poltergeist in a lot of his work.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Poltergeist was a huge inspiration on him. He talked about that. I watched a shit ton of interviews with him, and today, and I was like, wow, man, that's so cool. So as we said, guys, James Wan is a Malaysian, but he was born in Australia. So when you see him talk, it's crazy because he straight has an Australian accent, but he looks Malaysian. It's crazy. But he's a really down-to-earth guy from what I see. Like, he's just he's a super fan of, you know, creepy things. Yeah. You know, psychological thrillers. Like, so he has, like, this formula. You know, we talk about his movies like The Conjuring and Conjuring 2, Insidious, and stuff like this. And he has this way of making movies that really get you feeling that fucking atmosphere we talk about all the time.
Right.
From the way that he makes his movie sets, from the way he puts in... So, we'll get into this. So, basically, James Wan likes to focus on characters. He says that basically you care more if you and the scares matter more, and the more you're in tune and in touch with the characters of the movie, the more you're going to care if they almost fall out of a window,
right.
You know, you're going to be, you know,
He creates a connection.
He creates a connection with the characters that are in there. Now, once he creates that connection and actually you learn who these people are and you get to like them or you get to hate them, he builds that up so that whenever things happen, you care more about it. You're focused more. Yeah. Like, oh shit, you know, he's gonna, you know, oh, don't let him die, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
Now, that's part of it. And another part is how he builds his movies up. He builds scares up. He likes to, and you notice this in The Conjuring, there's a lot of fake scares.
Right.
There's a lot of, oh, I'm going to walk here. I hear something. I'm going to go to this door. I'm going to open it very slowly. The music's kind of playing a little bit. You're like, oh, shit. Open it. There's nothing.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, shit.
He likes to build tension.
He builds this up. He builds that atmosphere up, right? So, and then once he gets these built up, and then he'll give you a scare. Now, he doesn't, he mixes up his scares, and by scares, I mean the way that you got jump scares.
Right.
There's not a ton of jump scares in his stuff. It's more of a slow build up, boom, boom. Like he breaks them up into seconds.
It gets more intense and more intense and more intense until it climaxes.
Yeah. So like the scene in The Conjuring, when the daughter's laying on the bed and she gets her leg pulled.
Yeah.
She's like, boom, you get that quick leg pull. That's it, real quick. And she's like, quit, and kind of blow it off.
Right.
So, and everything's quiet. The atmosphere. The way he builds his sets, okay? So like in this particular scene, it's dark. The lighting's just so much to where you can see her. You can kind of see the edges of the bed.
Right.
So you get that buildup of how it leads into darkness. And then it pulls her leg. Boom, she pulls leg, she pulls back up. Quit messing with me. So it's scary for a second, then it stops. And you're like, okay. So you think scares are done.
Right.
And then bam, a real quick another one. And you're like, oh shit, there it is again. And then she sits up. And she's sitting there for a second. And another thing he does, you get this faint breathing in the background.
Yeah.
It's like a creepy human, like, growly, deep kind of breathing, but you barely hear it, okay? That's just the regular noise.
I'm scared just sitting here.
You know what I'm saying? So you hear this in the background. So she's sitting there and she can't see anything, but she feels something, right? So it's been about 15 seconds between the last time you had a scare. It's building up. It gets to about 45 seconds, and then you see in her face that she's starting to think there's something under the bed.
Right.
So what's she do? Here comes the music slowly coming in. Not very loud, but coming in enough to where, and then she starts slowly going under the bed, slowly going to look under the bed, and boom, there's a fake scare because there's nothing there. Like, oh shit, damn it, there's nothing there. Okay. About another 5 or 6 seconds, she's looking around, and all of a sudden, she sees something behind the door. The door starts to slowly shut. Then the intense is building again because now she has to lead back up from the bottom of the bed.
Yeah. So here's a fucked up thing that ran through my head whenever I saw that movie. That scene is a complete what's the word I'm trying to think of? Not an imitation, but like an homage to Poltergeist. When Robbie
looks under bed.
Looks underneath the bed.
I told you Poltergeist
doesn't see anything, and when he raises back up, that's when the clown is there and grabs him.
Yeah, seeing Poltergeist is a huge inspiration, like I said, to James Wan through all of his movies and stuff. But yeah, so he builds these scares up, and his timing, timing is spot on.
Yeah.
And then in this scene, she starts to notice there's something behind the door. So she sits up, and you think something's going to be there, and it's not. So then you calm down again. Right. And you're like, shoo, fuck. It's building up that scene. Now, you still hear that faint breathing. Barely fucking hear it. If you're not paying attention, and you don't have it quiet, and you're not doing nothing but watching a movie, you may not even see it's there.
Yeah.
So she's looking into the darkness. We can't see anything, but she can. And she's like, calls her sister to get up, And she's like sitting there and the scene's building up. And the way this fucking girl's acting is fucking stupendous. I can't believe she didn't get a fucking Oscar for this fucking movie.
Right.
Because she is killer in this movie.
Yeah.
That's another thing. His picking of actors and actresses. Everything he puts together, the way the set's set up, like I said. So in this scene, he's sitting there, and then she's like wakes up her sister, and her sister goes to the door. She's like, there's something behind the door. And this is where it builds you up again because you're not there. However, she's standing at this door. And the way the lighting is, you can see the door open and you see the hallway. You can't see shit behind the sister who's standing there.
Right.
And she's standing there and the girl's like, she's like, it's right behind you. And she's like, there's nothing here. And she's like, oh my God, what is that? And, she's like, and the sister just looks over real slowly, and the door just slams shut.
Yeah.
Bam! There's that fucking jump. There's that jump scare. It's his timing, his atmosphere. He has it down to a fucking science, man.
For sure.
The whole movie is like that. Mm-hmm. And with him, he talks about how when people think of horror movies or scary movies, they think of gore and blood and all this stuff. And even the first Saw,
and he's not into that.
Even the first Saw really wasn't that bloody.
No, it had some very unnerving scenes on it.
Yes, but he's talking about like the mental aspect of it. Mm-hmm. The way he would set up his music. He didn't need to use... There would be sometimes not a fucking thing is going on and you're scared shitless. Yeah. That's something that I was going to bring up, talking about this tonight with James Wan. I was watching a movie, and one thing I love about doing like the director series that we're doing is that, of course, me and you and most of our listeners have seen fucking assloads of horror movies, right?
Right.
So,
and how these different directors film stuff.
And what's cool about this is what I really liked, and I did this on purpose. I did a lot of research on James Wan and watched a lot of interviews, and I was like, you know what? After watching his interviews, I was like, I'm going to go back and watch The Conjuring. And what I'm going to do is, I know the movie like the back of my fucking hand. Mm-hmm. However, what I'm going to do now is focus on the way he set up the fucking scenes,
right?
The way he uses the music, and the way that he fucking used the scares. And I'm going to go through and just watch this movie and check out everything besides what actually is going on in the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
get away from the distraction of the character.
Yes.
And look at the background. Look at see what's going on.
The way he sets up things.
Yeah.
So like the scene where the very first like hardcore scary scene, somewhat scary scene whenever with the mom, right? She's upstairs folding clothes. Mm-hmm. By the way, the fucking soundtrack, killer.
Yeah.
The way the music he put in this was fucking the opening, I love it. But anyway, the mom's folding clothes or whatever, and she hears something. So she goes out, and she's looking around what's going on, and she's like, and it's the way he films it, the way the camera's moving. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, boom, 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 all the shit crashes on the fucking steps. She's like, what the fuck? And it's like, bam, right there. Yeah. And then so she runs down looking, and she's looking around, and the way the angles of the camera, now she walks into a dark room. She's walking into I think it's the living room or something like that, and it's real dark. But there's spots of sun or the moonlight that's coming through the windows where you see certain things.
Yeah.
So your eyes are like, what me? Was that? Yeah, me as a horror fan, I'm like, okay, what the fuck was that in the background?
Yeah.
I'm like, so I'm looking to see, I'm like, where the fuck is this coming from, And he really fucking puts things certain ways to make you think there's something fucking there, but there's not.
He tries to distract you, and
then when that scare happens, bam, it hits you that much fucking harder.
A different direction.
Yeah, his misdirection was so fucking good.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes from that movie was the part where Vera Farmiga, who plays Lorraine Warren, her and Patrick Wilson are out in the yard, and she's hanging clothes on the line. She's actually taking the clothes off the line or whatever. Yeah. And anyway, Ed walks away, who was played by Patrick Wilson. Sorry. He walks away, and she's taking the clothes off, and then all of a sudden she looks up because the wind kicks up, and you can see the storm coming in, and all the sheets are blowing around on the line, and then she goes to take this white sheet off the line. and it like rips out of her hand and it goes to fly across the yard. And when it does, it like
hits
wraps
the
around
formation.
the body.
Yeah.
And you can see a body standing in the sheet, and then all of a sudden it blows up to a window, and kind of presses up against the window and then blows away. And when it blows away, you can see a woman standing in that window.
Yeah.
That scene was just creepy as hell. That and the wardrobe scene.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing. Like, with that scene, or with the one I was talking about before, just that little bit when she goes downstairs, she's like, "Who's down there?"
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the door slams behind her. She falls down. It's pitch fucking black.
Yeah.
She fucking finally wakes up and like takes off running up to the top of the steps, and she's sitting there, and the door's like won't open.
And she's got the matches.
She got the match, so she's striking this match, right? There's almost nothing going on here. She's just sitting there. She's got the match lit, and like you sitting there for a second, you're like, "What the fuck?" I'm looking in the background because it's dark. You're seeing shit's going on, and then so the match goes out. You're like, "Oh shit!" The match is out again. She strikes it, and you're expecting something to be there. Nothing's there.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, and all of a sudden you hear this faint, "Want to play hide and clap?" Smack, smack.
Yeah, and then you see the hands come
Dude,
out.
creepy ass.
Yeah. Oh,
fuck, man.
Yeah.
Dude, this
Such a great movie.
well. And I know we're not going to dive into I've used that movie because I watched it today,
And it's a fantastic movie.
and I don't want to talk.
If you are a horror fan, you've got to love this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
there's
and
so
we're going to
much
do a whole fucking
good to
thing about it. I just didn't want. I've been using it as an example, and I kind of realized that we're talking about it, but I'm trying to avoid talking about certain things because there's other movies, like fucking Annabelle, that he had a part in.
Right.
Insidious is. All these movies that he has a part in and that he fucking puts his fucking stamp on, they have this fucking atmosphere that as soon as it happened, me and JT were talking about it, and it's like we at the time, so this is in real time when these movies are coming out, we're like, dude, this fucking James Wan guy is fucking killer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
I have been impressed with him since
Dead Silence.
Dead Silence.
I mean,
and what's funny is he didn't want to do Dead Silence.
Yeah.
He was forced to do it.
Man, I gotta tell you, like, his
mind is fucking.
I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. It's like John Carpenter. The way he does atmosphere.
Yeah, he knows how to creep people out.
Comparing, I'm not comparing. John Carpenter is a fucking man, and James Wan is fucking amazing too. But like, I'm not trying to compare them as far as who's better.
Right.
But they both, when it comes to atmosphere,
they understand what scares people.
Yes, and making. Yeah. What's cool about it is I was thinking about this. I was like, man, I've always wanted to write a book or write like a fucking screenplay or whatever, or a movie, my own horror movie, like, and thinking about it like that, and fucking James Wan is a guy who did that.
Yeah. It's funny, when I was a kid, I used to write scary stories all the time, that's what I wanted to do. I drew pictures of haunted houses and wrote scary stories. That's just what I did.
It's he, like you kind of said it best when you said that he knows what scares people.
Yeah.
He knows basically he can bring your fears out and put them into onto the screen, man. And going back to the Aquaman situation, I know that's not a horror movie, but you could tell by the way the fucking movie was made, the atmosphere, the way he uses lighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I told a perfect example again, I'm not gonna. I keep talking about it. But The Conjuring, the way he uses lighting in this movie, the way he uses the music in this movie, certain like the beginning, whenever it shows, not the very initial beginning because it talks about Annabelle in the very beginning, but once it gets into the actual movie,
that fucking song.
It's the time of the season. Boom, boom, boom. Great music, great song from back in the day. Usually not considered to be scary.
Well,
but
see,
when
in that whole movie, the way he filmed that movie, you felt like you were watching some old 70s or 80s horror movie.
And what I was going to say is like that song usually isn't a creepy ass song.
No.
But when you know what you're watching, and he puts it in a certain part of the movie.
Oh my God!
It turns it into a fucking.
Look at what he did with Insidious with Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
Tiptoe through the tulips. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that song is like the happiest song on fucking earth.
And it's creepy as a fucking motherfucker. You see what I'm saying? Now you're getting into what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, he's turning certain things that usually aren't fucking so creepy into something fucking super creepy. And just the way that he uses lighting in movies, back to Aquaman, you know, kind of a little bit, I could tell, now that you mention it, when I watched that movie for the first time, Aquaman, because I like all kinds of other movies too, you know, I was like, man, this is a fucking cool-ass, kind of darker fucking...
Well, it was a fucking kick-ass movie, I mean, for one.
But now that now I didn't pay attention to who the director was, and then now that I know that, I can tell.
Yeah.
I can see... The way he filmed things,
influence on it,
100%. The tones that he used and the colors, the fucking lighting, all that shit.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So you know, talk about James Wan, the man. I mean, he's done a lot of work with this Lee Wanell guy who has been in a lot of his movies. In fact, he was one of the I don't even remember what they called him, but one of the ghost hunter guys in the Insidious series.
Yes.
He was, one of the guys in the white shirt with the tie and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And he's been in a few of his movies and stuff, and they've done so much together that, like, they know how each other think, and they know what scares people.
Yeah.
And they just bring that to fruition. I mean,
and he's done some work, quite a bit of work too, with David Sandberg too, who wrote some. I think it was like Insidious, or not wrote it, but directed some of the Insidious movies and things like that.
Yeah. So here we are. We're all these years later. You know, like we said, you know, The Conjuring came out in 2013. You know, Insidious Chapter 2. 2013. I mean, the 20 teens years were fucking fantastic.
Thanks to James Wan.
You know, but he started this company called the Atomic Monster Productions, and it launched in 2014. And I know you've seen that logo on a bunch of different movies. Even when he's not directing it or whatever, he's got his hand in that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And the guy knows what he's doing, you know? You know, there's so many other movies we could talk about. There's a movie that a lot of people complain about. I love the movie, and that was 2018's The Nun. I thought that movie was fantastic. You know, and he was executive producer on that movie.
And I mean, you
know, and it's all part of that Conjuring universe.
And you can tell the way, like, again, the way it was filmed.
The atmosphere of that movie is just...
He's fucking got that shit down like it's...
Over the top. If we lose this guy, it's going to be a huge detriment to Hollywood.
Fuck yeah. And just to the horror community, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the guy is just insanely good. He's done some other strange stuff, too. In 2019, James Wan developed a television series based on the character Swamp Thing. From the DC universe.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys haven't seen... So there was a movie that came out in the 80s, I want to say that was 82, 83, somewhere around in there, called Swamp Thing, and it starred Adrienne Barbeau. And it was a really cool movie. I remember seeing it as a kid. I love that movie. I've seen it numerous times. I haven't watched it in years. I did try to watch it probably about 10 years ago, and I didn't make it very far because something came up, and I just haven't got back to it. Because it's not high on my radar, you know, because I watch so much horror, but well, you know, so he's in the process of he has his hand in that, and in fact, I think that series has already come out.
Well, it's like we talked about too, with him fucking having part in Mortal Kombat.
Yes,
if it happens, I don't know what the fuck going on anymore. But
you just wait till I get to the list that's at the bottom here.
But I just wanted to stress the fact that this guy just has.
He has a way with movies.
ESP.
And the movies that we love.
Exactly. He just knows how to get inside your fucking head.
Yeah.
And what looks good and what looks fucking creepy, man. And like I said, he can turn a regular fucking thing and make it super fucking scary, you know.
So, you know, I found a list of different things, you know, big movies that he's done. You know, his first movie was a movie called Stygian, which came out in 2000. He directed, he wrote. It was an amateur film. Probably not many people have seen that. I have actually seen that movie. It's okay. So, you know, in 2004, he directed Saw. He also wrote the story for that. Here's another thing. I'm not a big Saw fan.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just not into it. Saw 3, he wrote the story for that, and he was the executive producer. He was a producer in all of the Saw franchises from Saw 2 on. You know, Dead Silence we've talked about. Death Sentence we've talked about. Insidious, Conjuring, Insidious Chapter 2. You know, Furious 7's in there just because we had to mention the $1 billion box office draw. You know, these are all movies that he directed, you know. Now, The Nun, he didn't direct The Nun, but he wrote the story behind it. And the story's fucking creepy as hell because it's got to do with Valak, which is in the Conjuring universe.
Yes.
You know, Annabelle Comes Home.
Annabelle Come Home, which let me fucking say is one of my fucking favorite horror movies.
Annabelle Comes Home, no. Annabelle
Creation. Creation, my bad.
Annabelle Creation was the fucking best movie of that series.
Jesus Christ, that movie's so good,
but
dude.
Here's why I wanted you to look at this list, though. So think about how much we love The Conjuring. The Conjuring, he directed it. He didn't write the story. He didn't produce it. Mm-hmm. Look at The Conjuring 2.
Yeah, all of it.
He directed, wrote, and produced. Can you imagine how fucking...
Yeah.
That's insane. That's insane.
And how good
it's a good movie.
Yeah, saying how good that movie is.
And it's a good movie. You know, of course, Aquaman, you know. So he's got some new stuff coming out that we're going to talk about here in a minute. But I kind of want to get into the actors. So I found this cool little board that talks about the actors that he has in his movies. James Wan is one of those kind of guys that he likes to work with the same people. He likes to work with the same actors, the same film crew.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. So, like, you know, we've talked about this Lee Winnell. This Lee Winnell has been in 5 films that James Wan has created. You know, Judith Roberts been in a couple. Patrick Wilson has been in 5 films. You know, well, if Patrick Wilson has been in, okay, I take that back. So Vera Farmiga, who plays Lorraine Warren's only been in a couple. But that's only because those couple movies dealt with Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah.
The other movies that Patrick Wilson did, he did not play Ed Warren. He played, that was the Insidious series. You know, and just, it's crazy the amount. Look at that, Lynn Shay.
Yeah.
You know, Lynn Shay, I love Lynn Shay.
Yeah.
You know, I have seen some older movies with her in them, and it was like we were watching, my wife and I were watching something the other day. My wife and I watch a lot of classic stuff, like, you know, right now my wife's on a Murder, She Wrote kick. Which I'm not a huge fan, but it's kind of cool to watch them with her because it's like, oh my God, honey, that's fucking Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
Wait, how did he get
that's
in there,
you
know?
Yeah.
That's just one of those series that, you know, there was a shitload of fucking stars in that.
Kind of like Tales from the Crypt, man.
Tales from the Crypt was the
they
same
had every
way.
single fucking...
Twilight Zone was that way. The Outer Limits really wasn't. I mean, they had some stars in there, but not like Tales from the Crypt or Twilight Zone or whatever. But Night Gallery had quite a few, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, James Wan, he just likes to work with the same kind of people.
Yeah, well, something I see.
Like you said, though, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Like, what I want to show, and I'm glad you brought this up now, this next little fucking list you got going on here.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the first movie.
Yeah.
Go up to the top. Look at fucking Saw, okay? Saw had a budget of $1.2 million, okay? It fucking box officed $103.9 million fucking dollars on that budget.
That was his first major film.
Fucking crazy.
You know you're in for the long run when your first major film fucking makes $1.2 million over your budget.
That's fucking crazy, man.
$100.2 million over budget.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said with Dead Silence, it kind of
Dead Silence kind of tanked at the box office. It's still, I mean, it had a $20 million budget. It made $22 million. They made their money back, but I don't know why, because I thought Dead Silence was an excellent movie.
And I still do. Excellent now, of course, we go into the Insidious. It fucking it had a 1.5 million and made 97. Now,
look at The Conjuring.
I want to talk about this real quick. So, check this shit out, folks. The Conjuring, all right, had a $20 million budget. Okay, $20 million. Now, this also, with this movie, not only having that budget, but what he also had with this movie was a lot of backup from people in the industry. A lot of people in the industry, once he got to this, the people knew what he was about, knew what he had, and they had his back on a lot of things, so he had a lot more things at his disposal. That being said, The Conjuring budgeted at $20 million fucking dollars, and it grossed at the box office $319.5 million fucking dollars. Somebody made some fucking money, son.
I mean, he's not living in a mansion.
Well, and then look at Insidious Chapter 2. Fucking $5 million budget, $161.9 million. Yeah.
So, I mean, even Insidious 1, a $1.5 million budget, made $97 million.
Yeah.
It's insane the amount of money that
what he can do when he has the resources. And we're going to mention this again real quick just because it kind of has to do with it. Like I said, with the resources. All right, so Furious 7, not a horror movie, we know, but just in this aspect of what we're talking about. He had all the resources he fucking need. $190 million budget.
They basically told him, you fucking spend as much as you want.
$190 million budget. Grossed over a fucking $1.5 billion. So here's an interesting thing. So if you look at the right column, which is the production studio, he hardly ever uses the same production studio. Yeah, he likes to
mix it up. He likes to share the wealth.
Yes, yeah. You can hand this guy a fucking turd and he'll fucking turn it into a fucking diamond.
He will.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, he's just a fantastic director. And he's good with people. The actors that, when you watch them in interviews and stuff, the actors just love working with him.
Because he's passionate. He cares. He likes the shit, man. Yeah, I mean, it's what he loves.
For sure. So, I mean, just fucking crazy. Aquaman. $160 million, grossed $1.1 billion.
Fuck, dude. Look at the fucking, even Conjuring 2.
Yeah, $40 million.
$40 million budget, $320.4 million fucking.
Crazy.
Like I said, you can hand this motherfucker a turd, he'll turn into a fucking diamond.
He will. So, but anyway, I ended up with the actors on there. Twice.
Let's go down to future projects.
So here's future projects, and I don't know how much Ryan got into this, but James Wan has got some fucking killer shit coming out. Some killer fucking shit coming out. So he's got. So we all know, we've been hearing about it for 2 years now. We've got The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, coming out. Was supposed to be released this year.
Fuckers.
But we all know because of COVID-19. Hollywood has been shut down and everything, pushed back.
Among other things.
So now it's going to be released sometime next year. You mentioned this earlier. Mortal Kombat.
Fuck, I mean, I can't wait. Especially if it's live action.
I cannot wait to see what James Wan does with Mortal Kombat.
Especially if it's live action. Like,
oh, yeah.
Fuck, oh, dude.
And it's going to be. He's got another horror movie coming out called There's Someone Inside Your House. I think it's going to be along the lines of When a Stranger Calls. Mm-hmm. Just kind of reading through the synopsis of it or whatever. This next one that we're going to talk about is a movie called Malignant. This movie was based off of his comic book series. He's got a comic book called Captain Malignant or something like that. It was a whole series of comics. He is now doing a movie for that. And then this is going to be a big one for me.
The Nun 2.
The Nun 2. I was so impressed with The Nun. I love the way they filmed that and the actors that they chose to play that. I mean, they got Vera Farmiga's little sister to play the nun, you know, and then, oh my God, what the fuck is it? Colin? The hell is that guy's name? Colin?
I can't remember.
Oh, he was in Fright Night and all kinds of fucking shit. Oh my God, I can't
Farrell?
believe it. Farrell, yeah, Colin Farrell, to play the priest. And that such a great movie. I hope they come back for the second. Which, if you know anything about the first one actually leads into the Conjuring movie. They show in the end of The Nun, they show the possession scene from the Conjuring, where he was telling the story about taking a big part of her.
Yes,
that's actually at the end of The Nun. So all these movies are playing together. Aquaman 2, if it's as good as the first one, I'll love it. This one was kind of a cool one to me. He is doing a Knight Rider movie. I am talking Knight Rider from the 80s TV series with Kit the car. James Wan is going to do a full feature movie on that, which I think will be interesting.
I wonder who's going to get to play.
They tried to revise the Knight Rider series back in the early 2000s.
I remember that.
And it was funny because I loved the car. The car, they used a Mustang for the new...
Did they?
For the new kit, which was really cool. And, no further ado, this is a big deal for JT. Read that, buddy.
There's going to be a new theatrical adaptation of Stephen King's novel, Salem's Lot. And James Wan.
James Wan is going to have a big part of that. I cannot wait. Salem's Lot is probably my all-time favorite vampire movie. I can't tell you how much I love that movie. I have talked about it on the air several times. That movie creeps me out still today. It was a mini-series that came out in 1979, but it still holds up today. It's just a fantastic movie. The book, Stephen King, the book is even creepier than the series. I absolutely love it. And for me to find out that James Wan is going to have his hand in a reimagining of that, just fucking, I almost did a fucking cartwheel. Have you ever seen a fat guy do a cartwheel?
Hey, you're not so fat anymore there, buddy.
Well, I'm not so fat anymore. But hey, this will actually be the third
rendition.
Or rendition. That's a good word.
Yeah.
This will actually be the third rendition of Salem's Lot. The second one came out in the mid-90s, starred Rob Lowe and...
Speaking of Rob Lowe...
What was that dude's name? God, he was in Wings.
Who knows?
I don't remember.
But talking about Rob Lowe real quick, he just did an interview. He did a 3-hour interview on Joe Rogan podcast. I actually like that dude. From hearing him talk on the podcast anyway, unless I find out he's fucking one of these pedophiles. But anyway, so far I haven't heard nothing bad about him, but in listening to him on an interview, he seemed like a pretty fucking average, cool, fucking down-to-earth motherfucker, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, here we might as well talk about this guy here.
Fuck him.
We mentioned him earlier. Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon, from what I hear, has now signed to do the reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street.
And that's
he's going to play Freddy Krueger.
That's a hand-picked person from fucking the man himself, Robert
Englund picked Kevin Bacon, and Kevin Bacon agreed to do it.
That's fucking killer.
So we'll see what happens with that. There hasn't been any. It's not in production yet or anything.
But thinking about it, like
the word on the street is Kevin Bacon's accepted it,
and I can hear him doing the.
Oh yeah.
You know that little fucking.
Kevin Bacon is such a great actor, and a lot of people were like, "Kevin Bacon, what? What the fuck? Kevin Bacon doesn't do horror." Whoa!
Stir of echoes.
People. Kevin Bacon started his career in
horror, fuckers.
Friday the 13th.
Bam! Got
Very
stabbed.
first movie Kevin Bacon ever did.
Yep.
Got the fucking arrow through the neck.
To the fucking neck, bitch. And he fucking Stir of Echoes.
Stir of Echo. Great movie.
Hollow Man, kind of horror, not really.
I watched that movie. Just came out.
You Should Have Left or something?
You Should Have Left. That's it. You Should Have Left. That was very good. Very good. He plays a really cool part in that. He's fucking psychotic, but
yeah.
He plays a really good part in that.
But yeah, guys,
James Wan, you got to give him props where props are due, man.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say this: James Wan fucking saved horror to me.
I would have to agree with you there, because the late 2000s and 2010s were rough on horror, man. We had a lot of stuff that was touted as horror, but man, it just wasn't.
James Wan definitely
wasn't living up to the hype. And James Wan came, and I will honestly say James Wan changed the scene of horror in 2013 when he released Conjuring.
Yeah, man, that movie's fucking. Conjuring is going to be a movie, and we're going to do a whole episode on it and the whole thing. But it's a movie that's going to be fucking known in the horror world as a fucking beacon.
Yeah,
you know. That movie's just so great. But
I'm just going to say it right now. You cannot be a horror fan and not appreciate that movie.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing.
You can trash it all you want, but you have to appreciate it.
Yeah, it just James Wan, dude, you're fucking awesome, man.
You are. You're the man.
You saved fucking horror to my eyes.
Keep doing it, dude.
But yeah, that's our episode number 2 in our director series, guys.
Hell yeah.
James Wan. Our first episode was John Carpenter, the fucking man himself.
Man.
If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. There will be many more episodes with the director series, and
we just had a conversation tonight about some of them. Tobe Hooper, Sam Raimi.
Yeah, man.
There's a bunch of them out there.
Well, they're coming.
Landis.
They're coming.
Yeah.
They're coming. Yeah. But yeah, guys, that's it, man. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We love you as always. You know that.
Oh yeah.
Slowly but surely, everything's popping like it should. You guys go on to YouTube. Don't forget to check it out and subscribe because there's going to be a lot of good shit going on over there.
Some cool videos coming up here in the near future.
Yeah, so check that shit out, guys. That's going to be the end of this one. We fucking love you, as you know. And as always, until next time, keep it creepy.